Welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss mystical works of literature and how they relate to recovery. We hope you enjoy today's podcast episode.
Hello, this is Buddy C. Welcome to the Tao of Understanding Recovery Podcast. Looks like we got a men's meeting today. Today we have Brian and Drew and Lou. Good to have you guys. Today we're talking about step 7 and how it relates to our recovery. If you're new to the podcast, we talk about how Taoist thought, Taoist literature, most of which is 22 to 2,500 years old, somewhere in there, how it relates to our views of the higher power. And then 12-step recovery, which we all practice in some form. This resonates so much with the views we have of the higher power or the power greater than ourselves, or the ways that we approach and get to know and become aware of this spiritual way of life and how we relate to what we think is the power greater than ourselves, or what we sense is. That keeps evolving. Before we get to our topic, I want to mention one resource that we have at buddyc.org. And actually, the resource to today is the back episodes of the podcast. We're on episode 408, and we do about one a week. So we have a number of years there. And you can always search. Just go to your aggregator and you pull up the podcast and search different words, or right now we're going through the steps. So I would suggest going back and listening. We've been doing a step a week. So go back and listen to the last 6, and you would get how the Tao relates to each of the steps. But we also, at other times, we just take a text and talk about the text and how it resonates with us. Sometimes I get misunderstood as being a, quote, Taoist. I am not a Taoist. The Taoist religion is something totally, absolutely different. It'd be the difference between following the teachings of Jesus in the Gospels and the Book of Thomas and joining a church that put all the other things with the teachings and saddled all the other things that a religion does. Same thing in Taoism. What we talk about is actual Taoist text, primarily the Tao Te Ching, spelled Taoteching, which loosely translated is the book of the path of virtue. So we find virtue being the path, which we find in recovery too. The back episodes are very helpful to you. We also talk about a synchronistic moment every week. And today, I thought I talk about the May 9th daily reflection, which is the only one that I know for date, my favorite. I know we've talked about it before, and I thought I would use it because it has a synchronistic moment in it. And when I looked at it, I realized that this is a good example of what we're going to talk about today with the 7th step. The actual synchronistic moment is a synchronistic moment, in other words. So I'm just going to read it. Walking through fear. This is May 9 Daily Reflections. If we still cling to something, we will not let go. We ask God to help us be willing. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 76. When I had taken my 5th step, I became aware that all my defects of character stem from my need to feel secure and loved. To use my will alone to work on them would have been trying obsessively to solve the problem. In the 6th step, I intensified the action I had taken in the first 3 steps, meditating on the step by saying it over and over, going to meetings, following my sponsor's suggestions, reading and searching within myself. During the first 3 years of sobriety, I had a fear of entering an elevator alone. One day, I decided I must walk through this fear. I asked for God's help, entered the elevator, and there in the corner was a lady crying. She said that since her husband had died, she was deathly afraid of elevators. I forgot my fear and comforted her. This spiritual experience helped me to see how willingness was the key to working the rest of the 12 steps to recovery. God helps those who help themselves. I think that last sentence can be, at least for me, could be very misunderstood. The question I have to ask is, if God helps those who help themselves, what does helping myself look like? What does that entail? That's what we're talking about today. Notice she asked for God's help with a fear. Did God remove the fear? Was the fear just, bam, it's gone? No, it was not. Instead, someone was sent for her to help. And that's step 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. All we're doing is in step 7 is humbly asking. Our shortcomings are not removed. Shortcomings, the way I see it, is the things that we're not doing that we should be, shortcomings. I looked up a definition: an imperfection or lack that detracts from the whole. So you're removing the imperfections or lacks. And the way I see that is the addition of the things that we're not doing. In 6, we're ready for things to be removed. In 7, I see it as adding the things that we're not doing. It's a good distinction for me. And those work together. We see this May 9 is addressing both of those things. So this lady was afraid of elevators. She entered the elevator. She asked for God's help. And there was actually a lady in the elevator that it says she was in the corner crying. And she had been afraid of elevators, deathly afraid, since her husband passed. And what did she do? She forgot her fear and comforted the woman in the elevator. So her fear was removed by her doing something different. Her fear was removed not by some miraculous, just I'm there, it's all me, it's removed. No, she had to choose to live compassionately. When she chose love over fear, what happened? Her fear left. And we talk about that all the time in recovery. In the big book, Working with Others, page 89 in the 4th edition, practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. You don't start helping people when you've been sober for 10 years, like you would think with other things. What helps us when we want to drink is helping another drunk. Of course, there's guidelines with that. You can come to meetings to work with another drunk. You can come to meetings to be there to share, which I sometimes lose sight of, especially if it's like a shitty meeting. People aren't sharing, and half of them are not alcoholics. And the things I don't like in an AA meeting, I can get all looking at the differences rather than the similarities. When I do that, they don't get nothing out of the meeting from me, and I get nothing from them. And a lot of times I'll leave early and I won't slam the door or nothing, but it's apparent I've left because I think it's a shitty meeting. I used to do that all the time. I haven't done that lately, thank God. Whatever we're approaching in life, are we coming at that from helpfulness or from what's in it for me? So this lady asked for God's help. She surrendered, in other words. She couldn't do it within her own power. And if you didn't believe in a God in this way, you could just say out loud, I'm powerless over this fear. I am open to being helpful. Something like that. It's the same thing. You're surrendering. You're saying, I cannot do this within my own power. That's the same thing as asking, for some people, it's the same thing as asking God for help. There has to be that surrender aspect. And what happened? She was presented with someone to help, and she got over her fear. So I thought that was a very good synchronistic moment. Okay, today we're going to talk about step 7 and any Tao quotes that we have related. First thing I'd like to do, though, is let's talk about our thoughts on step 7 and how we may work step 7 with sponsees or work step 7 ourselves. We've got a taste of that already. I'm just going to go through some things. You guys raise your hand or chime in when you have something. First thing I want to mention is the 7th step prayer, which is on page 76 of the big book. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and to my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. We have then completed step 7. Step 7 in the big book is only one paragraph. What I have found are steps 6 and 7 are the ones that I continue really to live in, because those are the change steps for me. Now, the principle is humility with the step. We're talking about humbly asking. And I think the whole point of the step is, how do we humbly ask? And if we learn how to humbly ask here, we can use that same practice for the rest of our lives. Some things that help me to humbly ask is, do I remember that all things are a gift? How can I take credit for a gift? I can't. If someone gives me something and someone compliments it, oh, that's fantastic. I can't, as if they're thinking it's something that I built or did. I said, no, it was a gift. Can't take credit for a gift. It's the same thing with all of our life is a gift. Even things I learn are from intelligence that was given to me. It's learning how to live powerlessly. If I'm not taking credit, then neither do I need to take the blame. I think if I think that I did this, then if it doesn't go well, I have to take the blame for what I did, right? So I can stay out of that. I don't take either. Drew?
Yeah, thinking about the humbly asking and allowing the Tao to work its way through you. The first chapter that came to mind was chapter 23. After the first paragraph, the rest of it goes, if you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. So to me, that's all about just getting myself out of my way. And it says 4 times in that section, open yourself. So it's allowing yourself to be empty of what you need to empty yourself of those character defects, allow the character defects to be taken away from you, and then open yourself up to the Tao, open yourself up to insight, open yourself up to loss. That, to me, speaks really closely to the 7th step.
Thank you, Drew. 22 was one that I had down. We're there at 23. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. It didn't say you make yourself partial. You let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, you've got to let yourself die. Oh no, I want to be reborn, but I don't want to die. That kept me in and out for 5 years. Yeah, I wanted God to help me, but I wanted to find some way to stay sober, but I wanted to be in charge too. I just wanted to maintain my strength and somehow have strength added to mine.
Yeah, I want to change, but I don't want to change.
The change I want is not the change that I needed. Brian?
I got a friend of mine that talks about that he thought he was signing up for Weight Watchers. And he said, I was just wanting to know, I just wanted to manage this.
Yeah.
I didn't want to surrender to it.
That's like what was said in May 9, God helps those who help themselves, is not me working harder, doing better, and God adds the part I can't do. It's me totally surrendering and stepping out of the way and allowing it to happen. It's letting, like in this 22nd verse, letting. Drew?
Yeah, just kind of real quick on the God helps those who help themselves. One reason why that is probably misused a lot is it's not in the Bible. There's nothing even close to that phrase in the Bible. It's not a Christian phrase. We're all pretty versed in, I think all of us have Christian backgrounds, and we all know that much of the Bible is about helping others and being generous. So I think that's where that contradiction often comes from, is that phrase is not in the Bible whatsoever. If anybody says it is, ask them to point it out because it's not in there.
Okay, we're fixing to come up with a list, Drew.
Boy, this took a turn.
I'm sorry. You got me on a tangent, Drew. I'm sorry.
No, this is good.
Oh, the very first one. God helps those who help themselves. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Money is the root of all evil. Now, this one I thought was spare the rod, spoil the child. God won't give you more than you can handle. Hate the sin, love the sinner. That's actually attributed to Augustine. Augustine actually said that. God works in mysterious ways. Not Bible. This too shall pass. Pride comes before a fall, as pride goes before destruction. To thine own self be true. That's William Shakespeare. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. Also Hamlet. The lion shall lay down with the lamb. The wolf dwells with the lamb, not the lion. The 7 deadly sins. Traditional church teaching, not biblical list of 7 deadly sins exists. Forgive yourself. Bible speaks about God forgiving people and people forgiving others, but not specifically forgiving yourself. Huh. My Zen friends would love that. They don't think there is a self, so there's no self to forgive. Thing happens for a reason. All good things come to those who wait. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I believe that one, but I knew it was not Bible. It should be in the world, but not of the world. 3 wise men. Never says there were 3. Adam and Eve ate an apple. Genesis only says fruit. It never identifies an apple. Huh. A lot of that's nitpicky, but still. Thank you. Lou?
We're talking about humility, buddy, and you're saying what should and shouldn't be in the Bible.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Bible according to Buddy.
That's
Yes.
it.
Saw Paulo Buddy Day.
What is that? What I do that with the internet all the time. I keep looking till I find someone who agrees with me. I don't go there to see if what I think is real. I already know what I think, and eventually I can find some authority that says I'm right. All right, back to our topic. Humbly ask, let. 13th verse of the Tao Te Ching, Gai Fu Fang. Accept disgrace willingly. Accept misfortune as the human condition. What do you mean by accept disgrace willingly? Accept being unimportant. I don't like that. Do not be concerned with loss or gain. This is called accepting disgrace willingly. So he's not saying you're a worthless piece of crap, that your life is going to be disgraced continually. What he says is when you're not concerned with loss or gain and you're in acceptance of whatever the situation is, that's the human condition. It's not about experiencing disgrace constantly. It's about accepting it willingly when it does happen. Lou?
Oh, that's just what I was going to say, buddy. It seems to be about non-attachment, about acceptance. If you're, that's the tie-in with humility. If you're not saying what should or shouldn't be and you're just accepting what is, then you're in that humble place. You're in that low, Tao talks about the water going to low places that are disdained. I don't know if that's chapter 8, maybe. So it's that same sense of acceptance and humility.
Thank you, Lou. And the final stanza of verse 13, surrender yourself humbly. Then you can be trusted to care for all things. Then after that, love the world as your own self. Then you can truly care for all things. You surrender yourself humbly, you can be trusted. But you start loving the world as yourself, then you're really able to care for the world. How are you able to love the world or love others? You start loving them. You learn to love by loving, in other words. This is verse 30. Whoever relies on the Tao's in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there's counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. Master does his work and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he's content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts, back to acceptance again. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. Here's a quote that I thought was in the Tao Te Ching. We'll go over a list of them one day, Drew, the quotes that we think are from the Tao that are not. You learn to speak by speaking, to study by studying, to run by running, to work by working. In just the same way, you learn to love by loving. That's from a 16th century Catholic bishop, St. Francis de Sales. I did use that phrase, we learn to love by loving, in one of the verses in the Tao. Of course, mine's not a translation, it's just an interpretation. So I took some liberties.
That does remind me of the other St. Francis, the well-known St. Francis prayer. It's not verbatim, we learn to love by loving, but let us seek to love rather than be loved. Let us seek to forgive rather than be forgiven. I think that can apply to the seventh step too.
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. Where there's sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is by giving that we receive, it is by pardoning that we're pardoned, and it is by dying that we're born to eternal life.
Yeah, I do think that is a good way to put the seventh step into practice, is, as he says in the beginning of that, open myself up to let you work through me, get me out of my way, and just let me open up to the right thing being done through me. That's a pretty good list of all the right things that I would want to flow through me out into the world.
I think this is how we humbly ask. This prayer is a real example. This is what happens when we humbly ask. We're giving someone to understand. We're giving someone, rather than focusing on our despair, we're giving someone some situation that we may can bring some hope to. And it goes back to that removal of things that stand in our way of being useful as well. So in practicality, what can this look like? No matter how I ask it, from my experience and from the others that I hear their experience, if I ask to be used, I am not going to change and then be used. I'm given a situation to choose to be useful, and in that, I change. That's where the humility comes in, that we choose to do something contrary to what we think would work. How could it be that by giving we receive? That makes no sense. All of these are the process of dying. To be reborn, we have to die first. We're not reborn twice. Maybe die sometime in the future. No. And this is how we die. We die to situation. We die to our fears. We choose love over fear. Drew?
it also reminds me, I don't remember where in the Tao Te Ching it is. I'm pretty sure it's in here, but it's about true trust is trusting someone who's untrustworthy. And that kind of reminds me of true generosity is being generous to people who you don't want to be generous to, giving to people who you don't think deserve something to be given to them. It's easy to give to somebody who you think deserves it, but it's hard to give something to somebody who you think doesn't deserve it. It's hard to trust someone who you think doesn't deserve to be trusted. And that's, to me, that's putting the seventh step in action. Is some jerk on the highway has been tailgating me and wants to get in front of me. If somebody were being really nice to me on the highway, it would be easy for me to let them get in front of me. But this guy's been a jerk. I'm not going to let him get in front of me. But moving over, allowing him to get in front of me, I'm being generous to somebody who I don't think deserves it. And I think that's more true generosity. One of the themes in the Tao Te Ching is comparing yourself to water. Water nourishes everybody, not just the people who deserve to be nourished, but nourishes good, nourishes bad. Water doesn't even consider who is good, who is bad. That's not even a concept for it. You're ridding your mind of those concepts. Who deserves it? Who doesn't deserve it? Who's good? Who's bad? Should I apply kindness in this situation or not? Just rid yourself of those concepts and commit yourself to applying kindness, commit yourself to applying generosity and trust and forgiveness and compassion, love in all situations. To me, that's putting the seventh step into action.
Drew, Lou looked it up for us. It's verse 49. The master has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the people. She's good to people who are good. She's also good to people who aren't good. This is true goodness. She trusts people who are trustworthy. She also trusts people who aren't trustworthy. This is true trust. The master's mind is like space. People don't understand her. They look to her and wait. She treats them like her own children. So it's the kind of trust, it's the way that we might love our children when our children show these traits. I can kind of see that. Occasionally I'll have someone come up to me at the gas pumps and ask him for money. Hey, Brian, especially at Walmart, it happens at Walmart. When someone comes up, I said, I'm willing to take you over to the shelter we have here in town. I'd be happy to do that. Oh, no, I just need money. I said, nah, I'm not. Go ask somebody else. I was willing to give, but it wasn't necessarily the way they wanted me to give. I think there's a vein of that here too. I did see one sign that I wished I saw earlier, and I stopped and gave this guy $20. His sign was need money for beer and weed. I said, hey, I'll help him out. He's being honest. I'm on tangents today, excuse me. What else, guys? Any other quotes? Any other comments, suggestions? One thing I do want to mention, that phrase, accept being unimportant. Let's not misinterpret that. I don't want you to think that means accept being a worthless piece of poop. I don't think that's what it's saying. I think it's saying just accept yourself as you are. Accept what you do without adding anything to it as far as your job, your station in life, all those things. Don't add judgment to those things. I think that's where the unimportance comes in.
Yeah, I apply that in my life as not trying to seek getting credit for something. There's one of the chapters talks about the master does her work and steps back, leading people from behind so that they think we did this on our own. That's really not how, especially in Western culture, we're raised to act. Here, it's very me and put all of your accomplishments on all of your LinkedIn and Facebook and social media, get a bumper sticker showing your accomplishments. I ran in this race, or I raised a kid who has a perfect attendance or whatever.
Thank you, Drew.
Or even the custom tags that says 4 or 5 or whatever at the end of their name. It's just like the ego.
Brian, you don't want to get you a Loutza 1 tag or something?
A Loutza 1. No.
Oh, license plate?
Yeah, license plate. That's what I was talking
okay.
about.
Yeah. No, we don't call them tags here.
That's good. Anything else, guys, before we close? Been a good meeting today. Thank you. All right. Well, you guys have a great week. Next week, we'll move on to step 8. Thank you. Hello, this is Buddy C. I wanted to make you aware of several recovery-related resources that I've posted in the episode description. These resources include a list of recovery podcasts, a free sober meditation app, daily recovery email, shared Google recovery calendars. Hope you put some of these resources to use and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends in recovery.